You can own your land, you can pay off your well, you can pay off your septic tank, and a city can still send you a letter telling you that you have 30 days, 60 days, or a year to rip it all out and pay to connect to their water and sewer system instead. And if you ignore that letter, they can fine you, put a lien on your house, or take you to court. This isn't a rumor. It's already written into state law in places like Florida, and it's already been tested in front of the United States Supreme Court over 100 years ago, and the city won. If you have well water or a septic tank, or you're thinking about getting one so you never have to depend on a city utility again, you need to hear this before you make that decision. Here's the situation in plain terms. Across the United States, states and local governments have the power to require certain homes to connect to public water, public sewer, or both once those services become what the law calls available. What counts as available is not the same everywhere. Sometimes it means a new pipe was installed under the street in front of your house. Sometimes it means your old septic system broke down. Sometimes it just means a city passed a rule saying that if the public line is within a certain distance of your property, you have to hook up to it, whether you asked for it or not. This is not one national law. There is no single federal rule that says every homeowner in America has to be on city water and sewer. That part is important, and we'll come back to it, because a lot of what gets said about this topic online goes way too far. But the real version of this story, the one that's actually backed by real statutes and real court cases, is still strange enough on its own, and it affects a lot more people than you'd think. More than 43 million Americans get their drinking water from a private well. That's about 15% of the entire country. And more than 1 in 5 American households use a septic system instead of being hooked up to a city sewer line. So this isn't some rare situation that only happens to a few people out in the middle of nowhere. This is millions of ordinary families in regular neighborhoods who built their whole setup around not needing the city for water or waste. And for a lot of those people, the assumption is simple. If my well works and my septic tank works, and I've been maintaining both of them properly for years, then that's my system on my land, and nobody can force me to replace it with something I didn't ask for. That assumption is not always true. Let's start with the sewer side of this, because that's actually the strongest and most well-documented part of the whole topic. Florida has a real law on the books. Florida Statute 380 1.00655, and it says that if you own a septic system that is working properly, and a public or investor-owned sewer system becomes available to your property, you generally have to connect to it within 365 days after you're formally notified, a full year. That might sound like plenty of time, but read that sentence again. It doesn't say your septic system has to be broken. It doesn't say there has to be a problem. It says if the system becomes available and your septic tank is working fine, you still generally have to switch within a year of getting that notice. And if your septic system needs repair or isn't functioning properly, that timeline gets a lot shorter. In that case, the law generally gives you around 90 days to connect once public sewer is available, with only limited exceptions for hardship. Now, does this mean every single person in Florida with a septic tank has to switch? No questions asked? No. The law does include some waiver and variance options in certain situations, so it's not an absolute no exceptions rule, but the core idea stands. Simply having a septic system that works is not, by itself, a guarantee that you get to keep using it forever, once public sewer reaches your property. And Florida isn't inventing something new here. This idea that a city can force you to connect to its sewer system has already been through the highest court in the country. Back in 1913, there was a case called Hutchinson versus the city of Valdosta. Valdosta, Georgia had passed a rule saying that homeowners along its sewer lines had to connect their homes to the public sewer. Someone challenged that rule, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court sided with the city. The justices described requiring people to connect to a public sewer system as a normal use of what's called police power, meaning the government's basic authority to protect public health. That ruling is over 100 years old, but the core principle behind it is still the reason cities today can legally require sewer connections. So this isn't some new, sneaky trend. It's over a century of legal history saying that owning your land does not automatically give you a constitutional right to reject a mandatory sewer connection. But sewer is only half of this story. Water works a bit differently, and honestly, it's less consistent from place to place, but it's still very real. Take Lynchburg, Virginia. The city restricts certain property owners from relying on a private well once city water becomes available to them. Or take the city of Pana, Illinois, which generally requires you to connect to public water if a main line is within 300 feet of your property. Pell City, Alabama uses a 100-foot rule. Manor, Texas uses a 200-foot rule in parts of its code. Every single one of these towns picked a different distance and a different set of conditions for when you're required to hook up. And then there's St. Augustine, Florida, which might be the cleanest example of all of this combined into one place. Its city code says that existing development inside the city has to connect to both city water and city wastewater within 365 days after those services become available, not just sewer, water too. Cape Coral, Florida has a similar setup, giving developed properties 180 days to connect once the city issues what's called a notice of availability. So depending on exactly where you live, you could be required to connect to sewer only, water only, both, or neither, all based on rules that are decided at the state or city level, not by any single national law. Now here's where this stops being just a legal curiosity and starts becoming something that actually hits your wallet. Connecting to a public water or sewer system is not free. In Cape Coral, one recent utility expansion project listed an assessment of roughly $8,221 for water infrastructure and $9,607 for sewer infrastructure per standard-sized lot. That's before you even get to the private side of the work. On top of those city assessments, Cape Coral estimates the average homeowner pays somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 just for the plumber to actually run the pipes from the house to the new connection point. Add in a permit to properly abandon the old septic tank, a fee to install a new water meter, and a deposit to open the new utility account, and you're looking at a real, out-of-pocket cost on top of a brand new monthly bill you didn't have before. And that number is not the same everywhere. Another project in that same city had completely different figures. So there's no single nationwide price tag you can point to. It depends entirely on your city, your lot size, your distance from the main line, and how your local utility structures its assessments. This is the part that makes people the most upset, and honestly, it's a fair reaction. You bought a piece of land, you paid to drill a well or install a septic system. You maintained it for years, sometimes decades, without a single problem. And now a new pipe gets installed somewhere near your property. A letter shows up in your mailbox, and suddenly you're being told you have a set number of days to pay thousands of dollars to switch to a system you never asked for, on top of a new monthly bill for the rest of the time you live there. So why does this rule even exist? Is this just cities trying to grab more paying customers? That's an easy story to tell, but it's not really what's backing this up. The actual justification that shows up over and over again in the statutes, in the court cases, in the city codes, is public health and environmental protection, not simply expanding a customer base. Here's the honest problem with private wells and septic systems, and it's worth understanding both sides of this fairly. Private wells are not regulated the same way public water systems are. The Federal Safe Drinking Water Act mostly applies to public systems, not private wells, which means the responsibility for testing and monitoring a private well usually falls entirely on the homeowner. One study looked at about 2,100 private wells and found that roughly 1 in 5 had at least one contaminant above a level considered a health concern. That doesn't mean every well is unsafe. It means unsafe wells are common enough that it's a real, documented issue, not a hypothetical one. Septic systems have a similar story. When they're properly designed, properly installed, and properly maintained, they generally do not hurt water quality. That part needs to be said clearly, because a working septic tank is not automatically some kind of environmental hazard. The real problem shows up when systems fail, and they do fail. Roughly 10 to 20% of septic systems fail at some point during their lifetime, usually because of age, bad design, being overloaded, or just not being maintained properly. When a septic system fails, it can release harmful pathogens, along with nitrogen and phosphorus, into the groundwater and into nearby surface water, and groundwater doesn't respect property lines. If your neighbor's failing septic system is leaking into the same aquifer your well pulls from, that stops being a private issue real fast. So the honest version of the argument on the government side isn't, we need the money. It's closer to this. Water and waste don't stay contained to one property. When a lot of homes in the same area are running their own private systems, the risk of contamination spreading through shared groundwater and watersheds goes up. A centralized public system, when it's properly built and maintained, is supposed to reduce that risk across an entire neighborhood, not just one house. And the homeowner side of the argument is just as real. If your specific well is clean and your specific septic tank is working exactly the way it should, you didn't cause a contamination problem. You're the one footing a large bill and taking on a new permanent monthly expense to solve a risk that, in your individual case, might not even exist. That tension between individual responsibility and shared risk is really what this entire topic comes down to. There are also some details in these rules that most people never hear about, and they matter a lot if this ever actually happens to you. First, available often has a specific legal meaning, not just a general idea. In Florida, for example, sewer service is generally considered available if there's an appropriate sewer line in a public easement or right-of-way next to your property, and if that system actually has enough capacity to handle your home. So a pipe technically existing somewhere in your city doesn't automatically mean you're required to connect. It usually has to be close enough and able to handle the load. Second, you don't automatically lose your well or septic system completely in every case. Some cities allow you to keep using a private well for irrigation or landscaping, even after you're required to switch your drinking water over to the public system. Lynchburg allows this in certain situations. Port St. Lucie, Florida allows something similar, letting people keep a well for irrigation as long as it's not cross-connected with the public drinking water system. So this isn't always a total loss of your private system. Sometimes it's a partial switch, where your drinking water changes but your outdoor water source stays the same. Third, some places do grandfather in existing wells. Manor, Texas, for example, generally doesn't force certain existing private wells to switch to city water until that well actually fails to meet the required standards. Port St. Lucie has a similar setup, allowing existing private water arrangements to continue until there's a failure, contamination, a dry well, or some other trigger. So depending on where you live, this rule might not hit you the moment public water shows up. It might only apply once your existing system actually breaks down. And finally, ignoring one of these notices is not a small decision. This isn't like ignoring a suggestion. In St. Augustine, the city code specifically allows legal action to force a required connection if a homeowner doesn't comply. Pell City has penalties written into its code for violating its mandatory water connection rule. These aren't empty threats sitting in old paperwork. They're active enforcement tools that cities can and do use. So where does that leave you if you have a well and septic system right now, or you're thinking about getting one specifically so you never have to deal with a city utility bill again? The honest answer is that it depends entirely on where you live. It depends on your state's laws. It depends on your specific city or county's ordinances. It depends on how close you are to existing water and sewer lines, and whether your local government has any current or future plans to expand those lines toward your property. There is no universal answer that applies to every homeowner in every state. And anyone who tells you there is one big federal rule covering all of this is not telling you the full story. What is true, and what's worth remembering, is this. Owning a piece of land and owning a private system that works perfectly well on that land does not automatically guarantee you the right to keep using it forever. In some states and some communities, the moment public water or sewer becomes available near your property, the clock can start running on a decision you didn't get to make yourself. If you're someone who values being self-sufficient, who likes the idea of not depending on a city utility for your water or your waste, this is exactly the kind of rule you want to know about before you buy land, not after a letter shows up in your mailbox with a deadline already attached to it. If you found this useful, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and I'll see you in the next one.